All right, everybody, welcome back to the Adventure RX podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Nick Anderson, physical therapist by trade, outdoor enthusiast. I'm not in my usual office today. This is not my background, but we're going to roll with it anyway. I'm super excited to have my new friend on, Kara Lapso. She is the founder and the executive director of the Open Trail Collective located in the Northeast Ohio area, established a few years ago. I wanted to have her on. Some really cool events coming up, and I want to talk about what the collective is all about. I'm very outdoorsy myself, so really appreciate your time today, and I'm excited for this chat.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course, tell us more about you and what the Open Trail Collective is all about for people that have not heard of it before.
Yeah, so we started in 2024 with a goal of promoting adventure in Northeast Ohio, but doing it in a way where we advocate for a more inclusive, accessible, and collaborative outdoor industry. In 2023, I went camping with a friend, and the whole time she just kept saying, like, wow, like, I've been camping a million times, but I've never set up the tent. I've never made my own fire. We went mountain biking, and she's like, gosh, it felt so good to try something new in, like, a low-key, judgment-free way, without someone, like, laughing at her, like, white knuckling down a hill or squealing when she's going fast around a turn. And it just felt so cool coming out of that trip and being like, how do I do this for more people? How do I create community that is judgment free? Because sometimes the outdoors can be like, I call it the arms race of adventure, where you like, I don't know, after a weekend and you like go. I lived in Denver, and after a weekend, my roommates and I would all come back and they'd be like, so what'd you do? And they're like, I summited this, I climbed that, I backcountry skied here. And I felt like everyone was like trying to one up each other, and I hated that. And so I was like, how do we create something that, like, I don't know, everyone can do whatever they want, whether it's a 50K or, sitting on a bench birding, but bringing people together to build that community, connecting them with like the businesses and organizations that are already doing it, because in Northeast Ohio, there's so much. But again, really with that like backbone of advocating for inclusion, accessibility, and then like the ultimate collaboration between, businesses, organizations, groups, and the community.
Yeah, I think the Northeast Ohio area is definitely slept on for the outdoor potential. We don't have huge mountains, we don't have a lot of vertical elevation, but the park systems are great. We have a national park right here. I think it's certainly underrated area with the lake and the waterways as well. It's slept on for sure, and I love what you're doing. How did you go from, okay, you went camping, this is a really great idea, to, okay, let's establish this, build a team,
Yeah.
and get organized?
Essentially, I just went like straight off the cliff right away. The first thing I did was file for a 501c3. Kind of like came up with a mission, vision, like what do we want to do? It evolved a bit over time. Initially, I was thinking about doing like weekend getaways where we'd like go camping places and do like larger adventures, but I realized I didn't have like a community to like take into the woods. And I was like, if I want to advocate for this like inclusivity and accessibility, I was like, what disabled person or like black lady is going to come like into the woods alone with me in like West Virginia? I was like, I need to like establish myself as an ally, as a community partner, as somebody who's like in it for the long run, before I can like take people outside. Like it just didn't really make sense. So made the nonprofit, and I was like, all right, like what's happening here in Northeast Ohio? And I grew up here, but digging into it like intentionally, I realized just how much there is here. I currently like have a list of 200 plus outdoor businesses, organizations, nonprofits, like unofficial like run clubs, probably close to like 250 now, actually. Like, I don't know. So as I started digging into it, I realized that like there's way more here, that we need to like establish a community, bring attention to like the smaller businesses and groups, and just try to like collaborate more, get more people working together to get outside.
Yeah, I think that's what it's all about, right? The more the more the merrier. But again, there's some of those barriers that you touched on. What's your definition of accessibility, especially outdoor accessibility?
Totally. I mean, I guess I don't really have like a go-to definition. This was honestly like one of the, I like knew like as a social worker, as a person that enjoys like cross-cultural, like, I don't know, gatherings and friendships. I really wanted to make sure this was a part of what we did, but it was like the scariest part. I was like, I can adventure, I can talk to people, I can make friends, but like, how do I do this? How do I prove that I'm someone that you want to go out with, that this organization is valid, and that accessibility is the goal. And as I said, I don't really have a definition for that, but I think it all comes down to like trying, but then also listening. I realized last year that there weren't many like all-terrain wheelchairs, and there weren't many like opportunities for disabled people to get outside. And so I was walking through Aldi, and there was a girl there. She was like young, all sorts of tattoos, and using a wheelchair. And I was like, hey, like, my name's Kara. I like founded this organization. Would you be interested in like going on a Zoom call with me and like chatting about like your experiences going outside as a wheelchair user? And like, I don't know, like I want to learn more about what's available. And she's like, yes, absolutely. So we had a Zoom call. She ended up telling me about her experiences. Ended up being like a huge component of fundraising for an all-terrain wheelchair after talking to about 9 other wheelchair users. Found the right type that we wanted, fundraised, and now we loaned it out like 15 times last year. And this year we're getting it into the Conservancy for the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, and they're going to loan it out to visitors through the Boston store. And so
Love that.
all of that being said, I don't have a definition, but I think it's talking to the communities, like finding people that, like, not just like making up what I think the solution is, but talking to people and helping them advocate for the solution that they want. And so I think accessibility, I don't know, because accessibility looks different for everybody is the big thing. So is somebody using a wheelchair? Is somebody using a walker? Does somebody just have, like little bit off balance when walking on bumpy trails? Like it's like so hard for me to classify overall, but I think it's just really important to bring in the community, whether it's the disability community, whether it's different racial groups or financial groups or
Sure.
whatever.
Yeah, I love that. And like you said, it looks different for everybody, right? Just like with my patients, there's different barriers and
Mhm.
different goals and different limitations that we're trying to address.
Yeah.
Um, if we're talking about these barriers, because you and I are able-bodied and we can get around okay,
Mhm.
and financially able, accessibility to these hobbies, hiking and skiing and kayaking, are a bit easier for us than maybe most. What are some barriers that maybe get overlooked from, let's say, like for me, for example, what are some barriers that I might overlook, even though I am involved in the outdoor, experience with
Mhm.
different hobbies? Maybe some common barriers that you like to touch on that I maybe am not even aware of, or someone listening might not be aware of.
Yeah, I was talking to one of the leaders from uh, Black Girls Do Bikes, for example. It's a national organization, and Cleveland and Akron have chapters. And this was someone from the Cleveland or the Akron chapter. And she was like, "Do you know what the biggest barrier to Black people biking is?" And I said, "I don't know, no idea." She was like, "Helmets." Helmets were made for the white hair, right? They were made for our hair. It's smooth, it packs down well. We're both wearing hats, it works well. But the money that the Black community puts into their hair, the texture, the style, the size, even like the braids, some of that being pushed down, like could be painful even. And so there's a lot of barriers that we don't even consider. And that to me was like a really shocking one. Additionally, a lot of people self deselect from things when they don't know what the limits are. So people with larger bodies might not join a kayaking adventure if they don't know right off the bat if there's a life jacket that fits them, if a boat fits them,
Okay.
and what that looks like. Same with rock climbing. Like if they are worried that their body won't work or that they'll be embarrassed because there's something that won't be the right size or whatever, they'll just self deselect. So I think a lot of times the barrier is just like the lack of information provided by organizations. So that way people can prepare before they even arrive, and they'll know like, oh, like I can do this. Like they will have life jackets or boats or whatever that may fit me. And I mean, it could really go on. And then thinking more about like the disability community, thinking about physical or intellectual disabilities. There's so many there. Like there's so many different things, in the whole gamut of everything that can be a barrier. There's a lady who runs Recreation Club. It's a club for people with intellectual disabilities that does like adventures on Saturdays. And she said that for the longest time, some of her participants were afraid to hike because they were afraid of bears. She's just like, there's not that. She's like, I'm not going to say there's no bears because there are bears.
Yeah.
And so she gave a bunch of her participants bells. Like she said, these are bear bells. These will scare them away. And so now they walk through the woods holding bells and now they're okay, right? So a
Yeah.
barrier can be anything from like knowledge to comfort to, obviously having the right equipment and things like that. So again, similar to there not being a one definition of accessibility for me, there's also like not one definition of what these barriers can look like.
Sure. Sure. Absolutely. And it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
If if someone is intimidated getting into the outdoor sport, whether it's hiking, kayaking, skiing, the keel haulers, obviously, the club I'm in was great for me. I didn't know anything about the sport, and I joined the club and met a lot of good people and good mentors in the club. Would the outdoor collective be a good space? Any of your events be a good space for those that might be new or might be a bit intimidated to try something new? Because we totally get it. Like new stuff is scary if you don't know anyone or maybe have one friend that might want to come with you. It's scary and you don't know anyone. And outdoors creates different variables as well. Would it be a good, like if you're feeling intimidated, are you a good resource?
Yes, yes, that is the goal. And so we have anywhere, I think in April we have like 8 different events throughout the month for people to pop into. And throughout the seasons, obviously they change, and we're very welcoming and encourage beginner people to join, as well as experienced adventurers. Like I hike, but I don't know everything. I kayak, but I don't know everything. So, having people of all different skill levels is really cool. And I think that that's the cool thing about Open Trail Collective is that we do spark the interest of like the hyper, very experienced adventure all the way to the newbies. And I think building that community around mentorship, which, often happened like, think about like rock climbers in the 70s, right? That was so based on mentorship. But nowadays it seems like people stick with people of their skill level and there's not that level of like training in that like informal way. So I'd love to kind of come back to that where we can all work together to share skills and knowledge. Another thing that I think will be really helpful too is in the next few months, we're launching the Northeast Ohio Adventure Directory, a comprehensive digital directory where people can search by sport or by difficulty level. So people can literally do like kayaking beginners, kayaking advanced, and then they can sign up for, like a Swiftwater course or they can do something to level up their skills. But I think that like beginners knowing that they can click this and almost every kayaking company in town will still pop up and say, if you're a beginner, please come here, but like maybe tell us you're a beginner and we'll make sure that we spend an extra 5 minutes like going over these skills with you before we send you off, or
Yeah.
we'll connect you with people, or we have lessons or guides. And so being able to like search in the privacy of your home without having to like ask, I think
Sure.
can limit some of that, like again, self deselection that people might just do because they don't know. So I'm really excited to get that launched.
Yeah, that's going to be a great resource. I love that. Make it easy, right?
Exactly.
Less friction to get involved is always better.
Always.
When is that launching again?
Hopefully by the Adventure
Hopefully. Yeah.
Fest in May.
Okay.
But I'd rather it be like really strong and like make sure it's all working really well. So if I have to postpone it beyond May, we might. But that's still, it's 2 months. So I'm feeling confident.
Good. Oh, that's super exciting. I'll definitely be checking that out once it's up and running. If you need someone to test it out too,
Oh yeah, I'll send it your way.
yeah,
We're
I'll test
working
it for
through
you.
some of the, it's like moving. We're going through a few like rounds of like iterations, and then I'll send it to you for some testing.
Sure. It sounds like you got some really cool events coming up. They're on your site. I was reading through them. Do you feel like people at this point, you're a couple of years into it now, like that community is building with these events where people are coming, like sure that like the hiking is great, but like the community aspect too, where you're seeing that your friends and making new friends, like
Yeah,
how do you feel that is a few years into this now?
it's good. I feel like our the hikes for some reason are always slow. Like we get maybe 5 people that sign up. Maybe once the weather gets better, it'll be bigger. And like the collaborative hikes tend to be like way better than us just like planning a hike alone. because I think people like the idea of like connecting with other groups or things like that. Our more like specialty adventures tend to be really good. So I don't. We did cross country skiing and had like a good amount of people for that. We had rock climbing this summer. We already have 4 people signed up for 10 spaces, and it's in
Nice.
June. Our kayaking events tend to have 15, 20 people. So much bigger events for those. We'll do random like pop-up events, and those tend to be really good. Like last month for President's Day on Sunday, I was like, oh shoot, my kids don't have school. So I like posted online, sent a bunch of emails, ended up having like 45 people show up. It's
Nice.
just like a
It's
play
awesome.
date with snacks, and like it was great.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's definitely growing. Some of them, like I said, have a ton of people. Some are just small, but both of those are nice. Like it's nice when it's kind of a few people because then we can like hang out and get to know each other more. But yeah, the community is definitely growing, both like in person and online, and it's really fun to see.
I love that. Yeah, my wife and I will definitely pop out for some events. I'm excited. We can maybe set something up. I can host, or
Oh,
I
cool.
don't know. We'll
Yeah,
collaborate for sure.
yeah, that'd be
That's
fun.
exciting. Yeah, it'd be fun. When with the directive that you were discussing earlier,
Mhm.
do you feel like why do you feel like that was needed?
Yeah, so for the adventure directory, I don't know, similar to like in the very beginning, I'm just realizing more and more that there's a lot happening in Northeast Ohio, and it's often hard to figure out who is doing what and where. And then I feel like people get stuck like in their silo, whether it's their sport or like Akron stays in Akron, Cleveland and Cleveland, Youngstown, Youngstown. But I don't know. I like we don't need to fly to Denver. We don't need to go to Arizona. We don't need to go, to Tahoe. Like we have a lot right here, and I really want people to know that. And like, and as you said earlier, like we've got the lake, we've got the river, we've got like I've for the past 2 years I've run the Buckeye Trail 50K, and it's like those trails are incredible, especially like the Buckeye Trail when you get like back out there, kind of away from like the big trailheads. It's so cool. And again, I think people are sleeping on it. They don't realize it, even if they've lived here their whole lives. One of our board members. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I agree.
Our board member, she's down in Fayetteville, West Virginia, at the New. And she was up for the Adventure Festival last year, and she was amazed at the amount of groups we have here, whether it's a cultural group, accessibility, adaptive group, or just general like community groups. Because while like the New has these like big adventure features, they don't have it's a small like rural area. So for us to be between these two big cities with massive suburbs around it, like there's just a lot going on for people, and I think the directory can really connect individuals with adventures as well as like school groups, church groups, employee resource groups. Like I have somebody from Smuckers reaching out, like how do we get our staff doing these things? So I think it'll help people connect on their own to adventure opportunities.
Why do you think with the amount of outdoor opportunity that we have here, why do you think there's so many people that might live here for so long that don't get involved,
Mm.
or don't even they might not even know what they're missing out, but why do you think that is? I think the Northeast Ohio area like nationally gets a bad rap. I'm not from Cleveland originally. I'm from Western New York, and I always knew Cleveland was on the water and it's great, and there's a lot of good parks and everything, good resources. But why do you think there's so many local people here that either don't get involved or don't know how to get involved?
I think it's multifaceted. I think for some people it's cultural. So we're hoping to work this summer if we can get the money. We're working on a grant to bring a group called the Trash Boys, and they're a group of boys up in like Cleveland Heights, Garfield Heights area that do like lawn care service and like litter pickup,
Cool.
and they're super cool. But predominantly black boys, and the mom that runs this group, she's like, we don't hike, we don't go out there, we don't know these things, and
Yeah.
I think there's this like level of like I don't belong there, and so we don't do it. And so we're excited to like help do that, where we can like get these kids out there and connect them with what they're already doing. They're outside, they're doing the stuff. Like
Right.
this is so important, and so we're going to connect them not only with a river trip. So we're gonna do a 6 mile river on the Cuyahoga River. We're gonna camp, and we're also gonna
Cool.
have a panel of outdoor business people or outdoor, like either rangers and other people doing work in the outdoors, so they can think about how to connect that. And so I think there's that like that cultural slash like financial slash I don't belong barrier, perceived I don't belong barrier, as well as it's like I don't know, I feel like people just might not think it's cool, right? I think we need to like
Mhm.
amp up the cool factor. Like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm not going to do a 50K in Ohio. That's lame. Like, I'm going to go to Montana. I'm going to go to wherever, do these like races and these like big places. But I don't know, like, it's incredible. Like, I can't get over how cool like Northeast Ohio adventuring is. And I like to call it our backyard parks because, like, I mean, it depends on where you live, but I'm literally 10 minutes from probably 20 different trailheads, like that can connect hundreds of miles of trails. Like you can't really get that even in like Denver or other like outdoor meccas,
sure. Right.
right out of your backyard, essentially.
Yeah, I mean we're Cleveland and Akron are cities, but small cities, right? You
Yeah.
can drive, depending on where you are, 20, 30 minutes and find some good green space or water space. Whereas, bigger cities, it's more effortful. With the thought that you just said that caught my attention was people feeling like they don't belong.
Hmm.
And, and I'm a diehard skier, and there's certainly a certain population group that does skiing, right? You think of, middle class to upper class, Caucasian
Yeah.
men
Yeah.
and women that are skiing, and a lot of that is one of the bad things I don't love about the sport that is my favorite thing is the financial aspect of some of these sports is so extreme. Skiing for sure is so extreme, and there are some shops locally that do trade-in programs for kiddos where every year you're trading in skis and boots and kind of swapping them out. But like the lift tickets are expensive and lessons are expensive, and it's just a hard barrier to entry a lot of the time, just financially. Um, you know, how do we can ignore the financial part, but the whole like, I don't belong. How do you feel? What's some strategies there? Because you got my brain rolling too. Like, how can we start shifting that into everybody belongs? Because I'm sure you're of the same opinion that the more the merrier in these
Hmm.
sports, right? Like, I love seeing all like younger kids getting involved in these sports because it's just fun to watch,
Yeah.
and it improves the quality of the sports, right? Like the more people in it, the better it's going to be.
Totally. And then the more green spaces that get preserved, the more people that are, passionate about environmental stewardship. Like all of the data that shows that the more people that are outside, the more it all improves, right? Um,
Right.
and so I think a lot of it is, I don't know, I buy majority of my stuff secondhand. I tell people I buy my stuff
Hmm.
secondhand, or I wear, free hats that I got from a
Yeah.
race, or, swag from stuff. Like this shirt was literally from Aldi. Like I got this from Aldi and I put our logo on it. Like I think it's like taking away that barrier of like, I don't know, name brand cool stuff. Like it's,
Hmm.
important to have stuff that lasts. Like I definitely like my Arc'teryx jacket, love it, have had it for 15 years and still wear it all the time. Like, and it's in great shape. But also like you don't need that to do that. And I think that being able to like, I don't know, destigmatize like off-brand clothes and just the regular things to get people out, I think is important. Eventually, I'd love to start a gear locker, and I think something like that could be
Mm.
really cool,
Yeah.
where people can rent their tents, their sleeping bags, other things like that. And I think it's just, I think a lot of the things that we're doing with Open Trail Collective too is this like cross cultural like connection, right? Like I feel like so
Right.
often, like how often are we in like multicultural groups that are hiking together? Like it tends to be like a group of black girls hiking, a group of white girls hiking. There's not this time when we're all together, and there's nothing I love more than just like bringing everybody together and having friends from everywhere. And so I think having those moments where everyone feels comfortable, maybe I feel comfortable being the only white girl in a group, and then making sure that black girl that's the only black girl in the group feels so welcome, and that like whatever it may be, or a Latino girl or Asian girl or whatever, like making sure that like we are just being very, very welcoming, and realizing that like the outdoors is for everybody, no matter what you're wearing, no matter what you're looking like, no matter what your abilities are. Like, let's get out there and just like hang out together.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the most expert level people that I know really in any sport are generally, not everybody, but generally the most welcoming because they obviously love the sport and they want more people
Yeah.
involved,
Yeah.
right? And most of the time they're very generous. They can lend gear. Um, I've lent my extra skis and kayaks out to people that, want to try it out. And like the collective, like you're saying with these events, you meet people and, people are so generous. Like, hey, come try it out. Like, you don't have hiking boots, I got an extra pair. Hey, you don't have a kayak. Hey, I got an extra kayak and a paddle and a spray skirt. Like, come try it out. And it's again, it's just getting to the point where like you're going to these events, you're meeting people, and oftentimes it's like in the gym too. Some of like the biggest guys in the gym are generally like the most friendly and helpful, even though they look super scary and they're tatted up and they're jacked and they're grunting when they're bench pressing. But if you get to know them and have any workout questions, they're usually the nicest people ever.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that I've done in the past is try to befriend, like in the gym, some of the giants,
Oh yeah,
because you always learn and it's always interesting
totally.
to meet those kind of people. And same thing goes with the outdoor sports too.
Yeah,
Getting to know the local experts, and
yeah,
a lot of the time you'll find that they're very very welcoming and very helpful with things.
yeah.
So you are a mother of two, you
Mhm.
said?
Yep. 3 and 5-year-old.
How well, one, you're extremely busy. I have no idea how you have
I don't
time
either.
for
5
all
a.m.,
this.
10 p.m. is when I get most things done.
How has this adventure of motherhood changed or shifted or improved your perspective with outdoor adventure?
Yeah, I feel like while this wasn't like the main reason I started Open Trail Collective, it was a big part of it. I grew up with two older brothers, and majority of the cousins I had closest in my age were boys, and so I was always like keeping up with the boys. Like they're outside playing paintball, I'm playing paintball. Like they're
Nice.
outside doing whatever crazy thing, I'm there with them. And so I feel like I went through like high school and college, also like trying to keep up with the boys in a way. And at Ohio State, I was a part of the mountaineering club there. So a lot of like hiking, biking, rock climbing all around the U.S., backpacking. And I didn't realize it at the time, but like all of these adventures were so dude heavy. Like it was just guys everywhere. And I loved that because that was just like what I did my whole life. And there was like this, like, I don't know, like macho factor that I liked about it. I was like, oh, I can like go climb with the
Right.
boys. Like, oh, we're going to go down to the new, go to the red, go to Utah. Like, and I love it. It made me feel so cool in whatever way. And after college, I realized like such a missed opportunity. Like there were a decent amount of girls in the club, and I do have a few like long-term friendships from there, but like I had never once gone rock climbing with just girls. I had never gone on a backpacking trip in college with just girls. Like it was always like run by the boys, like, and everyone trying to like keep up with the boys and impress them. But I wanted to do Open Trail Collective, so my girls saw me getting out, doing the things without dad, without there being a ton of guys around, and realizing that like they don't need no man. They don't need no man to go like do the thing, and like they can just get out and do it. So I think that being a mom was a huge factor in starting this, so that way that didn't even become like a thought in their head, that they needed dad to go do something. So
I love that. For women that might not have grown up with that kind of opportunity that you're providing,
mhm.
how powerful is it for maybe other adult women to see women like you and your kiddos like getting involved and taking up, some of these opportunities in the outdoor space?
I hope it's really powerful. When I had a 6-month old and a 2-year old, a girlfriend of mine who's a veteran, she's like, let's go on a hike. And I'm like, it's daytime, my husband's working. I know I say do these things, but like that's terrifying to take these kids like on a hike. I'm like, what if they're both losing their mind? And she had 3 kids, and we did it. It was a 2-mile hike. We did, I think it was maybe Oak Hill over by Plateau. And I had like a whole backpack full of snacks. Well, I had like the carrier
Yeah.
with snacks. I had a cooler of snacks for after. I had pops. I had everything. Like I was so anxious. It was April and it was hot. It was like 90 degrees. It was so hot because there wasn't even shade yet. But we did it and it felt amazing. And I was like so thankful to have had Emily like encourage me and push me. And it felt like it like scratched this adventure itch too, just like being close to home, but like still being able to like get out and do stuff by myself. Like even I sometimes forget that I can do that, even though I'm like trying to like this was before Open Trail Collective started. Um, but it like I think was like part of that impetus of like, wow, like I had somebody teach me and show me that I am capable of this, and hopefully other people realize like, oh, it's not. I don't know. If you prepare and you bring all the snacks and things, then it. There's not too much that can go wrong.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's just getting out and doing it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You just got to take the leap sometimes.
Hmm.
And generally things work out fine.
Usually, yeah, and
May,
that's just
maybe maybe not perfectly,
right. Yeah,
but generally you'll be okay.
and making sure that you're prepared, right? Again, like having that first aid kit, having the emergency blankets or whatever that you
Hmm.
need. But preparing and then just going for it.
Yeah, and I think that the preparation part is where a group like yours can come in with the education part, right? And
Trying to, yeah.
I think that is a major barrier is the lack of knowledge. Not that people don't care, they just don't know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, if I want to go on a couple mile hike, I don't have good shoes. Like, where do I go? What do I bring? And it sounds like you're providing that opportunity.
Yeah, definitely. And at least a place where people can ask the questions. Hopefully people like see us as approachable and like, hey, like what do you think? And
Right.
little by little we're trying to like publish some resources on our website. Um, so that way people can learn. 'Cause especially if we're going to be encouraging people to go outside, I want to make sure that we're teaching them like ways to manage their risk, whether it's through like tick-borne illnesses, sunscreen, you know. Um, I recently learned that you shouldn't put bug spray on and then sunscreen on top of it because it like locks the toxins into you. Uh, yeah, so you're not supposed to like double them up. It's like one or the other. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's so interesting. Like there's a lot of things that again still I'm learning, and I'd love to just like help promote like that health side of things too.
Yeah, that's I haven't heard that one before, the sunscreen and
So at least if
bug
you're gonna
spray.
do it, do
Interesting.
sunscreen first, little bug
Okay.
spray on top, but then don't like lasagna it. You shouldn't be like continuing to
Got it.
relay it.
Got it. That's just stacking
Yeah,
toxins
yeah.
on your
Like,
skin.
I don't know.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
It makes sense. It
it
makes
does.
sense to me.
Yeah, never
Oh my
thought of that
God.
until 2 days ago.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, I gotta readjust my
I know, but that's
my
that's why I feel
technique.
like the UPF shirts, if again
True.
a financial factor, they're expensive, but that's helpful, right? So like wearing that and then loading up with the bug spray.
Yeah, I agree. Where do you feel, okay, 10 years out from now, it's a long time. How do you view, at least in the Northeast Ohio area, like where do you hope that the outdoor industry or community looks
Yeah.
in 10 years?
Ooh, very cool. Well, for one, I hope that the Open Trail Collective is my full-time job and I can quit what I'm doing for my day job because it's so busy doing it all.
Yeah.
But I would love, for the adventure directory to be this like robust thing where I mean maybe it even encapsulates all of Ohio or spreads beyond the region, where people can really search for opportunities. I would love for there to be so many more adaptive opportunities for people, more wheelchair chair accessibility, more just like knowledge of which trails an adaptive wheelchair can go on. Like right now it's like we have this wheelchair and I don't even know where to send people except for the trails that I've done.
Right.
And then, our adventure festival, I'd love for that to be, this like massive thing, maybe in like a larger park space that can have maybe a full weekend thing with camping and can really like connect people, making Northeast Ohio an adventure hub. And I mean, with that being said, I'd love for Northeast Ohio to start like kind of like clicking in people's heads as this like outdoor mecca of sorts. But it would be so cool if we were known for not only being an outdoor mecca, but like this accessible and inclusive outdoor space as well, where maybe the disability community comes here because they know that it has great, signage where like they know where they can go and where they can't, or perhaps that they just know that it's welcoming. I think that more than anything, like I think would be super cool. The accessibility and the inclusivity side, just showing that like Northeast Ohio's outdoors are for everybody.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I hope we can get there.
Yeah.
One idea that just popped in my head was having, like, there's trail maps, right,
Hmm.
on different apps and such, but like you're saying, there's not an accessibility trail map. Like what trails are dirt or
Yeah.
which are paved, or
Which ones have
kind of that
stairs? Because the
right
stairs
stairs in
go the
between.
stairs or right.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah, you start thinking about these things that, we're able-bodied and we take it for
Yeah.
granted,
Yeah.
right? Even if the trail is paved, doesn't like you're saying, if there's 5 steps and they're in a power chair,
Yeah.
like how are they going to get onto the trail?
Totally. Totally.
Yeah, good point. I'm excited for you guys. Like this is really cool.
Thanks.
I think the next 10 years is going to be very interesting. Hopefully we get more people involved in these sports that we love so much.
Yeah.
If someone is listening that is curious about trying these things and they're not really sure and
Mhm.
they maybe they never heard of the Open Trail Collective or have seen a couple posts, can they find info? Any advice for them to come out and maybe get involved, especially as we're getting some nicer weather going in this area. Hopefully it keeps going with the weather.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. Pop onto our website, www.opentrailcollective.org, Instagram, Open Trail Collective, Facebook, all the things. Find us there, see what we're doing. We've got tons of adventures coming up. We've got 3 or 4 kayaking things booked currently. We'll have even more than that throughout the summer. Biking, rock climbing, potentially some overnight things locally. And then also, like, if someone wants to try something new, like, reach out too, and we can easily start a group. Like, oh, you want to try bouldering outside? Like, let's do a meetup and see who shows up, and let's check out some of the routes over in Brecksville. Like, we're very open to suggestions and like encourage suggestions and inquiries because my brain just like can't think of them anymore. Like after 2 years,
Yeah.
I'm just like, what haven't we done? What do we need to do more of? So when we have community suggestions, I'm like happy to run with them.
Love that. Yeah, there's always an opportunity to get involved with these things, whether it's just joining in or collaborating and setting things up. That's the name of the game, right?
Sure is.
When is the Adventure Fest? I know that's like the next big
Yeah.
thing. Give us a little plug on when, where, and what that's all about.
Yeah, so that will be May 16th, 2026 in downtown Cuyahoga Falls and their like pavilion amphitheater plaza area.
Great area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fun. We'll have 50-ish different businesses represented throughout, either as vendors, as leaders of skill sessions. We'll have 4 either speakers or panel discussions. We'll have a speaker on the gorge dam removal. We'll be doing there'll be a different podcast getting recorded there with a group of guys to talk about trails and things like that. We'll have an adaptive athlete panel where we'll have a group of athletes with different disabilities kind of showcasing like and talking about what adventure means to them, especially within Northeast Ohio. Super cool group of people. I'm excited for that one. And then an ultra running and trail running panel as well. We'll have 2 musical acts, like a band and then a ukulele player. We'll have food trucks, beer, coffee. We'll have like all the
Yeah.
things. 15 different skill sessions. So a lot to pack in 6 hours, but there's
Yeah.
gonna be tons there, and it's gonna be super fun.
Yeah, that's going to be great. That's going to be a busy weekend. That's also
Yeah.
the Cleveland Marathon weekend
Yes,
too.
it
So
is.
so Sunday is the big day for that. I'm hoping to run the half, but
Good luck.
I haven't been running much, so
Ah,
um,
I feel
yeah,
it.
we'll figure it out. But
Yeah.
um, yeah,
Good luck.
we'll
That's
see.
fun.
I gotta I gotta run today. We'll see how it
That's my goal
goes.
too. We'll see. It's sunny out,
Yeah,
clearly in my eyes, but
yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be a good day for it.
Well, Garrett, thank you so much for your time today. Hopefully, everyone listening learned a little bit. That's what it's all about. And they know where to find you, how to get involved. I certainly need to, some myself get involved. I'd love to meet up in person
For sure.
sooner than later. So, no, thank you so much for the time. This was great, and I learned a lot too.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. It was a blast.
Yeah, of
I look
course.
forward to connecting in
Thanks,
the
Garrett.
future. All right. Bye.
Yep.